on all of this in just a couple of moments, Benedict. But let's turn our attention right now to that horrific super yacht disaster where the British tech tycoon Mike Lynch and his family and friends celebrating his victory in a court case in America from June, where he was exonerated of all charges and found innocent after a horrific years and years long battle over claims of fraud after he sold his company for billions, a self-made company, to Hewlett Packard. And he and his friends and family caught in this bizarre sort of mini water sort of tornado off the coast of Sicily near Palermo, and his yacht sank. Reports now saying sank within 1 minute of this tornado hitting, and 6 people still missing. One person we know, the chef, known to be dead. Well, let's talk once again to Angela Corrias. She's an Italian journalist who's joined us this week to discuss this. Good afternoon to you, Angela.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for joining us once again. The search has continued, and when we spoke to you last time, you were saying the Italian authorities were having a real difficulty getting down to this yacht. It sunk immediately. It sunk way down into the depths, tens and tens of meters below, and they are now, specialist search crews now trying to gain access. But is there any real hope of finding anyone alive?
Until they find them dead, the hope is lost to die. The problem is that today is the 3rd day of searching, and they have managed, the cave divers have managed to open, to create an opening. And they have, as far as I know, the ANSA, Italian agency, reported that they have inspected the master cabin, but they didn't find anything in there. So next, they are entering the cabins of the passengers, but they still haven't reported anything. The problem is, apart from all the objects that they are finding, that the time of each dive is very limited. This doesn't mean that every time it gets interrupted, but because the divers are continually shifting. Yeah. But still, the search, the time is very limited because they have to come back up.
They have to go so far down, and basically the deeper you go, the less time you can spend down there, because you have to have the time going back up to sort of decompress. So it's sort of 10 minutes max. But this is it. I mean, it's a huge ship, I mean, that's what, 185 feet or something. And of course, it does appear that those who were on the deck are those who survived. The vast majority did survive. And those who were below deck didn't survive. And if the boat did, as reports are claiming, basically just go down almost instantaneously after this mini tornado, this wall of water, sort of circling water, hit the boat while it was anchored, we understand, near the port, that actually, people, it was the early hours, 4 o'clock in the morning. People, if you're asleep in your cabin inside a boat down in those moments, you wouldn't have a chance of getting out. So the only hope is if there are some air pockets. But given that this all happened at night, in the dark, out of the blue, the chances that someone who's just woken up from sleep in those circumstances would be able to find that air pocket, survive in that air pocket for 3 days is, I mean, with the best will in the world, it's unlikely, isn't it?
It is unlikely, yes. Today is the 3rd day of searching, so the chances are becoming very, very small. Obviously, we keep hoping and working and searching. But the prosecutor's office also has launched an investigation, and they are hearing from the survivors. They are saying that most 11, I think, of the survivors, they managed very quickly to jump on the lifeboat, and the others managed to swim. Mm-hmm. So the 6 they are missing, really, there is like plenty of questions arising. Now they are working also with an ROV, remote operated vehicle, to see also something, what's inside. If even before they managed to enter the divers, they have managed to create an opening. So let's see, little they will enter.
But there were lots of reports about whether open portholes could have doomed the ship with the boat. But of course, again, this would be, this is a super yacht. This is a luxury yacht. It was warm. There were stormy conditions. They would have had air conditioning, in which case you're not going to be having portholes open. But there's a lot of questions going on around about, how this boat was able to go down so quickly. How did it become so suddenly, so top heavy? We understand there's some talk that this tornado sort of just ripped off the mast and and then the ship was just completely unbalanced and just sunk so quickly. Look, there are a lot of conspiracy theories going around, particularly given the context of this tech tycoon Mike Lynch's, victory in the courts, given that the man who was tried alongside him only a few months ago also tragically died after being hit by a car. We understand while out running, just at the week, just a few days beforehand. There are a lot of people saying that they think something very strange is going on. Is anyone talking about that in the Italian authorities?
No, the Italian authorities, they haven't said anything about this. Obviously, many people are wondering if there is a connection or what happened. But no, the Italian authorities are not talking about this.
That's very interesting. Really good to talk to you. Listen, I hope that we do get some good news. I mean, if there's always a possibility. And again, if you were, one of those whose loved ones were on board that boat, you would just be, hoping against hope until you get the worst news. Italian journalist Angela Corrias, really appreciate you joining us for that update. Thank you. Benedict Spence. Honestly, a lot of conspiracies going around online. We were discussing it, people in the office this morning, that, this man he's exonerated, he's out celebrating. We've got talking about, a tech tycoon. We've got other really senior figures, a really important guy at Morgan Stanley, other very important, loads of people who supported him in the case, sadly being people who we're missing, we believe have perished in this disaster. Very unusual event. And at the same time, the man who he was on trial with, also exonerated, dying as well. And now there are investigations into that. Again, both appear to be it's a terrible, terrible Shakespearean tragedy of coincidence. But that hasn't stopped the conspiracy theories.
When it's individuals of such value as these, having just come off the end of a trial of the importance as this, there are always going to be questions. I think it needs to be made clear, no evidence has been presented as of yet to suggest that there is any connection. Extreme weather events like this in the Mediterranean are also not unusual. I know people like to say that climate change means that everything's on fire, but actually, since time immemorial, we have classic...
Apparently, this coast of Sicily is actually, these are remarkably common, these little
it happens a lot. There's sort of, it's very sunny and then suddenly something catastrophic happens. The ancients used to write about this sort of thing. However, I don't know what the odds would be on these two individuals sadly passing away is so soon after the end of their trial and in such close proximity to each other. I imagine they're sort of extraordinarily long. And I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility, therefore, for people to start asking questions. Perhaps not, are the two connected, but was there foul play involved, perhaps, at some level? There is no evidence. However, we live in a world where this is the sort of thing where the absence of evidence often leads to people filling in the gaps themselves.
Coincidences always spark these
as I say, huge odds.
Again, I just think it's just, it is genuinely, it's a tragedy of Shakespearean proportions. It really is that this has happened to this family.